season-ending injuries. Davion Shelton, Zach Banner, and Greg Townsend all will be out for the season due to injuries. So obviously those three guys, we'll miss them, but they'll rehab and be back ready for next year. Very light practice today after a physical week of practice, so I think the guys are really on their way to being ready to go. Very few mistakes today. Very good in the passing game on offense. Very crisp. So we'll continue to work away and get them back here tomorrow and get ready to go for a big test on the road.
Yesterday you talked about Leonard Williams, the impact he's had on your defense. Safe to say Wilson, similar type of impact guy. Where does he rank among some of the more dominant interior guys in the conference over the last few years, and how do you game plan for the set of skills he brings to the table for them?
Well, I think the two guys are different players, just by size. Leonard's longer than Will. Will's more compact. Will really is a dominant force at times and really can really disrupt teams. He was getting ready to do it to Oregon until he got hurt in that game a year ago. And just a ton of ability, very powerful. They moved him outside sometimes as defensive end in certain packages, so not just does he give your center and guard problems, but he can give your tackles problems at times too.
Pat Hayden released a statement today saying that he met with the NCAA regarding working towards getting some relief in terms of the scholarships. Were you aware of that? What do you think of that?
I was. I think that once again that shows, what Pat has done and is continuing to do for this university, for the athletic department. And Pat and Max, over my 3 years here of being with them, have obviously been extremely dedicated towards compliance. Totally changed the staff here, the atmosphere over the last 3 years. And this is just another example of Pat fighting for us. This is not the first time he's done it. This is just kind of the time that it made it into the news. Obviously, nobody here was pleased with the sanctions that were put upon us and thought that they were very harsh, and so this is just another example of Pat fighting for us, and obviously our players and coaches and our fans should be very appreciative of that.
Are you optimistic that there will be some change there?
Well, I don't worry about that. I can't control that, and so we're worried about our team and focusing right now. And obviously any change would be good news for us. The numbers have done a lot to us, and as he mentioned in there's a lot of things outside of just the exact number punishment from scholarship reductions with transfers that have really changed our program. They've changed our practice field. They've changed the way we practice, the amount of reps our guys play, and at some point there becomes a player safety issue involved there too. We have some players on our defense that play almost 100% of special teams and defensive snaps combined. That was never that way here before, and really you don't want it to be that way.
One thing, Pat said that scholarship players for games dropped under 60. How far under 60 have you gone? How few players have you dressed for a game that scholarship players?
I think on this trip here we are taking 56 on this trip. So really, you're basically looking like an NFL team. The difference, when people say, well, why don't, that's easy, the NFL plays. Well, the difference is when they get injuries, like the three guys I just mentioned, they sign new guys. Obviously, we don't have the ability to do that. So it's a situation we're in. We're just trying to maximize it. Sure, it's difficult at times, but I think it speaks a lot to our players, that they're playing this well, and that we expect to win every week, and everybody expects us to win every week, regardless of the numbers. I think it speaks a lot to our players.
Are you going to be involved in, like they said, present a plan and try to, will you be involved in kind of coming up with a plan to, resolve that scholarship issue?
Well, like I kind of mentioned before, I think this has just kind of became a news story today, but this is not the first time, over time that Pat has really worked with the NCAA on this issue to try to help us, to try to meet somewhere in the middle, I guess is the way to say it.
Will Silas Red be on this trip?
Silas will be on this trip, yes.
You expect him to play?
I hope he plays.
With those 3 players that are out for the year, can you specify what those injuries are?
Yes. Zach is going to have hip surgery. Davion is foot, and Townsend is knee.
Good.
All right.